I did a whole video on setting up the perfect first date. I don't know if I ever told you about that one.
No,
About
I don't
like,
think I haven't seen it.
So I've been on many first dates over the years, and I finally figured out like the code on how to build the perfect first date. And essentially, this for me at least, the perfect first date will be usually on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. That's when the time for it. And it'll be somewhere very casual, like a cafe, a coffee shop, something like that. And you meet, you talk, and you put a hard time limit on this date, like an hour. 45 minutes to an hour is about what you want to do. And the reason that you want to put a hard time limit on the date is that if a girl doesn't like you after 45 minutes, she's probably not going to like you after an hour and a half. Like that is very difficult to change your mind. However, she can like you at an hour. But an hour and a half, she may not like you anymore. You can turn that ship around real fast, because a lot of guys talk themselves out of second dates. Like they're talking to her and everything, and she's like, "Oh, this guy's pretty cool," and then he runs his fucking mouth for another hour. She's like, "Oh, all right. Turns out this guy isn't as cool as I thought." And so you keep it. And also, this is the most important part: is that whenever you ask her on the date, like say you talk to her on Tuesday and you set up the date for Sunday, don't talk a lot between Tuesday and Sunday. Don't send a ton of texts and calls, because you want that first date to actually be an organic experience where you learn something, where you don't want to be walking in knowing half her life already. Like, you want something to talk about. And that bleeds into the short time frame for the date, that if you talk for 45 minutes and she likes you, she'll want to know more about you, which gives you a second date. And so after the date is over, I don't recommend trying to go in for a kiss or something like that on your first date. Not usually, at least. But and you're like, well, did she have a good time? She will tell you. Like you go home, she will send you a text, and the text will say, "Hey, it was really great seeing you today. I'd love to do it again sometime." That's your cue to ask her for a second date. Don't ask her for a second date during the first date, because sure, she might say yes, but she may not want to. And it'll be this weird, awkward time because that actually happened to me once. Where we went on a first date and I was not feeling it. And the girl was, and she's like, "Oh, hey, they're building a Top Golf here in Indianapolis. It'd be pretty cool to go sometime." And I didn't know what Top Golf was at the time, years ago. And she told me, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds cool." She's like, "Oh, would you want to go there?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I didn't want to. And so, yeah, we'll talk about it. Then, like, a few days later, she texted me. She's like, "I guess we're not going to Top Golf, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "God, I wish I'd have just said no, but I couldn't do it. Like, I couldn't." And it was hard.
It's hard. It's genuinely hard. Yeah.
Yes. And so it's going to be a lot harder for her to do it. You don't want to put that pressure on her. And so then after she tells you she enjoys the date, then you ask, and she doesn't text you, she didn't like the date. So just leave it alone. Like, you've only lost 45 minutes. Enjoy the rest of your day. Now, second date is all on you guys. That's you got to rely on your own charisma and charm and everything like that. But I can say I get a second date, but that works pretty much every single time. Hold on.
Yeah, Ben, we've constructed this whole episode for you and giving you dating advice as you head off into the world.
Let's see. I don't know, actually. What did he say? If we become openly Marxist in the second half, it would probably won't go. Won't go well.
Honestly, like TJ, I don't know if you've ever so if you're in this community long enough, and I think I've spoken with you about this, you often meet people in public where like you kind of like flirt with it. Like you won't ever come out and say, "Yo, are you a socialist?" Like, that's just a very weird question to ask. But like you hear them go, "Oh yeah, man, like the boss is really screwing us over. We need to like get together. Like I need to get all my coworkers together and collectively bargain for this." I'm like, "Yeah, man, yeah, it'd be pretty good if you could all get healthcare. I mean, I wish the government provided that." And then, like, you get like, you don't say it, but eventually you come to this understanding. Okay, we both lean the same way. Flirting is the same fucking thing. You don't go out and say, "Yo, you want to go?"
It's good point. Good point.
No, you don't do that. You go like, "Oh, by the way, those pants are fucking great. Your ass looks great." You give like a compliment that their girlfriends would give them, and their response will tell you whether they want you to keep laying it on. you know, and it just goes like that. So if you know how to discover if someone's a socialist like you also know how to discover if a girl wants to sleep with you. It's the same fucking techniques.
Yeah, and guys, get better at reading social cues. That's honestly,
just get good, guys. Like,
just get good at it. And here's the thing: you're not going to get good at it unless you try. Here's also, this is also another thing too.
You have to fail time.
You have to fail. This is like, guys want to be able to be good at this without failing, and that's not how literally anything works. Sometimes you're just born good at something. Most things you're not. So just think of it that way, you know. And they're afraid to. And listen, this is another legitimate fear. Now, it is legitimate fear because some people are very bad at reading social cues. They just don't know how to do it. So you could accidentally come off creepy. You could. Like, it's happened to all of us. Like, it happened. You may not mean to, but you might. But here's what you do. If you can't, once again, you know, do your best not to be creepy, obviously. But in the event that you are, learn from it. That's all you can do. Like, that's part of being a human being, that your words might be misconstrued, yet your voice inflection, your eyes, the way you're standing, any one of those things could give off a vibe that you weren't going for. Then you just correct for it. You don't get butthurt and offended. It's like, well, I'm actually a good guy. No, shut the fuck up. Learn from your learn from your mistake and move on. That's the only way you'll get better. You can't just be so insular and so sensitive whenever someone says, no, I don't like that. And the more you talk to people, the more you get to know them, the better you'll get it. You'll figure out, okay, doing this gets this reaction, I'll do it less. Doing this gets this reaction, I'll do it more. And like we mentioned earlier, you can't make, like, I need to get a girlfriend, like a laser focus. It's freaky. It's creepy. People will notice that, and you'll come off as desperate. Just work on, this is what I hate about, like, the red pill guys, that 35% of what they say is actually really good advice. I hate that. I fucking hate it, because
every once in a while they come across a nut and you're just like, fuck.
Because what they say, what they'll tell these guys, it starts off completely accurate. Look, you can't make, getting a girlfriend the primary goal in your life. You can't do that. You need to work on yourself. You need to do something that makes you proud to be you. If that means going to the gym, if that means going for walks, if that means eating better, if that means, it almost certainly means, don't spend all weekend in your room playing video games and watching porn. That will definitely not benefit you in life. So just do something, like get out in the sun, do something, like get a hobby, do something that makes you happy, and you will be happier, and talk to people. And you start doing that, your social life will get better, your work life will get better, your school life will get better, your romantic life will get better. They're completely right there. Everything after that is where it goes off the cliff. Just like trying to better yourself is absolutely true. Sorry about Wolfie yelling there.
We've made a little episode here. We should label it, dating tips for leftists, for leftist men. But the other thing I wanted to say is that Coach brought it up, where he was like the lock and key thing, like the body count.
Yeah.
And I've always answered like that. I've been like, okay, you are picking teams. You got to pick up basketball game. You're picking between two guys. One of them says that they've played basketball 3 times in their life, and the other guy's like, oh no, I play basketball every weekend. Whoever wants to come, I have a good time. Whatever. Who are you picking for your basketball team? Who do you think is going to be better at basketball? I bet it's not the guy who's played basketball 3 times in life. Well, why the fuck would you want to fuck a girl who's only had sex 3 times in her life? Like, well, how is that? That doesn't make any fucking sense. They're going to be worse at it, like everything else in life. Like, what the fuck?
It's another one of those like things that you're told. Yeah.
It's also insecurity that you can't live up. But you're right. I think people just think that because they're told, and they're like, oh,
they're told that. Yeah. Because look, and like. And it's like, I don't know why I'm even entertaining this. Like, I'm trying to steel man this when it's absurd, It's like, well, what if someone slept with 10,000 people? Okay, all right, no, that's weird. Okay, that's kind of odd.
That's a red flag, because it's like, okay, you're devoting way too much of your time.
Something strange, but that you're not going to run across that
male female. That's just way too much time spent on that activity.
Exactly. Don't you work? How do you eat? How do you live? But no, it's like they're told this. It's like, oh, you want yourself a virgin because of hundreds of years of patriarchal stuff where men wanted to protect their bloodlines, and that's passed down through generation where people are set to value that. It's like, no, it doesn't make any sense at all. And you're right. Like, practically, I don't know. It's just it's fucked up how people think this way. But I just hate to see young men led astray, and it's so easy. Do you know who FD Salinger is? Have you ever seen him on YouTube?
FD Salinger as opposed to JD Salinger?
Not JD Salinger, no, not the author, not
You're telling me there's a Mr. and Mrs. Salinger out there naming his son FD?
No, FD Salinger is a YouTuber, and he does mostly black issues, and but he also does a lot of like men's issues. And he has a whole video on, maybe 2 videos on red pill content. He does a really good deep dive into this, and I found out something watching the video that I didn't know. I mean, it makes sense now that most red pill content is actually just like teenage boys, which does make sense, you know, because they're the ones who are the most insecure. And if you watch the trends of it, they tend to all grow out of it by like their mid-20s. And so like Andrew Tate is preaching to all these 14-year-olds. And then, you know, by the time they get to college and everything and they develop actual social skills, they outgrow the red pill stuff, which makes it really cringy when I see like a 30-year-old red pill, like, oh, bro, this is embarrassing, man. That's kind of sad.
A narrator pointed out that you mean FD signifier, and I looked it up.
Oh, shit.
Right.
You know what? You know what? It's signifier. You're right.
I also haven't seen him, but yeah.
Okay. I've always read it as Salinger, but you know, because I'm thinking of JD Salinger too. This is funny.